Hi, some of you who've been following me for a while know that I'm a big fan of rugby, and the All Blacks are my favorite rugby team, and because I love their style of play. But I'd also like to share some interesting information or things about the All Blacks that make them special. Over the last 100 or so years, they have a winning percentage over 75%. Now, I don't know if any other sporting teams can say the same thing, but over about the last 10 or 12 years, that percentage is in the 80s, 86, 87%. And something happened in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004, that made a good team great. And what I'd like to do is share just 5 of the observations that a gentleman shared in his book. And it's the All Blacks' Guide to Being Successful Off the Field. And oddly enough, or not surprising, hopefully for many of us, it's the activities they did off the field, the training they did off the field that made them the success on the field. But not all of it, actually what he's talking about isn't, all the time in the gym, all the reps, all the running, all the things that physically they need to do. The first thing was that he listed in this is 5 lessons of leadership. The first one is sweeping the sheds. When the All Blacks finish their match, get cleaned up, showered, everything like that, they clean the locker room. Now, these are some of the best players in the world on the best team in the world, and they're not too humble, or they're not too proud to clean up after themselves. They make their locker room looks good, so they're not burdening someone else. They're taking pride in who they are, what they do. They're sweeping the sheds. The shed is a different term for the locker room. Then the second leadership lesson was following the spearhead, the Maori spearhead. And what it means to them is, there are like 3 points to a spearhead. But if everyone is together following the tip of the spearhead, moving in the same direction, they'll be much more successful. They also made a very important decision around this time that, certain players might be excellent players, but they're not great team players, so they're not All Blacks. So I thought that was interesting. Everyone fits into the team. They're moving in the same direction. They're following the spear point. Then champions do extra. They do the little things. They learned mantras that would be little cues for performance cues for them to anchor their training and anchor their beliefs. But they do extra. One of the gentlemen who in the article you'll see they talk about is a man named Brad Thorne. 6'3", 6'4", a hard guy, very strong, very muscular, very smart, very successful in rugby league, which is a different form of rugby. And then he came over and played rugby union, which is the style that the All Blacks play. And what he does little bits, little activities, little things to be better every time, and it makes him a champion. He's was one of the great players in the world at the time. So as I was saying, champions do extra. Then keeping a blue head. Very insightful here once you hear more about it. They brought in psychologists, psychiatrists, and who studied successful people, successful athletes. And in a game such as international, at the level they play, international rugby, being the national side in a country, New Zealand, where rugby is king. There is no other real sport. I mean, there are other sports, but rugby is life in New Zealand. So there's an awful lot of pressure for these young men when they become All Blacks to win, certainly, to be better, to be all that they can be. And there's that pressure, as all of us have probably found, creates some sort of stress, or can, and affect how we react to it. So keeping a blue head was a signal instead of a red head, a signal to, calm down, to relax. They had various cues that would, like Richie McCaw, the captain, would stomp his feet on, on the pitch there, the field, to ground himself, to get back into perspective. So another fantastic lesson, keeping a blue head. And then finally, and I know some people give this lip service, but the All Blacks don't. And that is, leave the jersey in a better place. And by that they mean they're following on in the footsteps of previous greats, previous All Blacks who, built the brand, if you will, built the success of the All Blacks. And the last thing any of the new All Blacks, active guys, want to do is disgrace the jersey. They want to put their own energy, their own success, their greatness into that energy, into that jersey. So when the next player moves into that position and gets that jersey, he's got something to live up to. He wants to make that better. So what you're doing there is they're creating a culture of success, personal and team success. So these are just 5 of the lessons that are in this article. He also has a book which I've ordered, so I'll share it with you all as I go through some of those lessons, and maybe some topics for blogging and discussion. So until then, Dan Fontaine, Fontaine Network, and fighting communism one entrepreneur at a time. Take care. Bye.